time designing digital experiences for children, and it has undoubtedly made my design for adults better. So today I just want to share with you some ideas that you can maybe use to make your own projects fun if you don't work with children, and you can benefit from my experience without having to deal with screaming and Jaffa cake smeared iPads. So I come at this from a visual designer's point of view. So when I say design, I'm aware I'm in a room of UX designers, I mean visual design. And for those who already work on both stuff for kids and adults, you'll already know all of this, and you can just enjoy the fart jokes. So let's get a couple of definitions out the way first. What do I mean by fun, and what don't I mean by fun? So fun is not the opposite of serious, it is the opposite of boring. We are, as a society, conditioned to feel that being serious is to be focused and having fun to be unfocused. In both school and work, if you are quiet and laborious, that is seen as the only way to be productive. If you seem to be having fun, you are obviously doing something superfluous and unprofessional. Fun has become synonymous with silly. And this isn't only untrue, but it's an actively damaging perspective because of the value that a sense of fun can give to digital experiences for all ages. So let's have a look at some of the things that fun is. Fun is engaging. People are more likely to do and keep doing stuff that's fun. And this is especially important for things that people don't necessarily want to do or engage with in the first place. A good example is yeah, that is up, good. People don't like to particularly engage with the concept of climate change and green energy. So this is Power Up Bristol. It's a game where you choose which sources of power you want to place in Bristol and manage the energy needs while trying to keep your carbon footprint in check. So my design philosophy with this, and I do a lot of science communication as well, is that it's fun first. So it's fun experience in its own right, and then you almost accidentally learn something. So I'm going to bang on about sexes now for a while. I did not think that was going to happen. But another topic that can be hard to get engagement with is sexual health for young people. And as much as I treasure the NHS, this website for teenagers is not exactly on fleek, okay? So teenagers don't talk like this. And why does everyone look so bummed out? We're talking about sex. Like, it just feels wrong to me. And also, this is a website which you can access on mobile, but that's not where the kids are at, and you have to meet your users where they're at. So contrast that to Juicebox, which is an app where you can either snoop to ask questions and see other people's questions and answers, or spill to share your stories, and this is all anonymous. So teenagers are seeing questions asked by their peers in their language, answered by professionals. The graphics are bold and fun. You know, you've got a condom rating for the stories, you know. And it's got so much more engaging because it's a fun-led design. I'm not going to talk any more about sex. That's it. We're done. So fun is shareable. An Ipsos poll in 2013 found that in the UK, sharing fun things is the second highest reason for sharing something on social media, which is a pretty good reason to make something fun, I think. But I know what you're thinking. What was the number one reason? Well, that was interesting things. But more interesting than that is what was at number 3, which was important things. So we're most likely to share things that are interesting, then fun, and only then important, which just makes me think we're all sat around going, oh my God, yeah, that's a big storm coming. But look, everyone, this cat can play the piano, you know. And speaking of memes, many brands already embrace memes on their social media platforms. Why? Because they're more likely to be shared than other posts. Why? Because they're fun. Let you absorb that one. So memes are interesting to me because they have this inside joke sort of quality, but with hundreds of thousands of people within that fandom or sport or profession. Fun makes people feel in on something. So if you're in the business of creating communities around your brand or product, then there's a lot to be learned from memes, and I personally think we should be making more of them. So the GIF has made a huge comeback. I know it's pronounced GIF, but I'm not going to do that. Nobody does that. So a GIF is often better than an image, but still cheaper than video or full animation. and is multi-platform friendly. It speaks the internet's language and more often than not has a sense of fun about it. So you can use it to showcase products or provide a tantalizing little CTA or just have fun, presumably as part of a wider campaign. So I came across a case study which I wanted to share with you, and it was that Dell saw really impressive results from their first gift-centered email campaign. This was in 2014, and it measured a 6% increase in open rate, a 42% increase in click rate, 103% increase in conversion rate, and 109% increase in revenue. Boom, you know. So think about your favorite teacher from when you were at school, and I bet they were fun, and I bet you were pretty good at their subject as well. Fun gives us motivation to learn, and unfortunately, our educational heritage declares that fun is the work of the devil, ergo study should not be fun. But research actually suggests that fun is not just beneficial to learning, but actually required for authentic learning and long-term memory. So making of new connections and those aha moments are more likely to occur in an atmosphere of what they call exuberant discovery. So as an example of that, on the left, is an original slide from the unit of the Shredded by Science Online Personal Training Academy, and on the right is the same slide after I got my mitts on it. So, fluid and electrolyte balance is not the most thrilling topic, but it is that much easier to process and remember when you imagine that the adrenal cortex, which is there, is this like cute little mushy hat that your kidney wears, and it just makes it easier. So a study was done in 2006 where college students were listened to statistics lectures, and they had one with content-related humor, one without. They were then tested on the material, and retention was highest in the lectures with the content-related humor. And the thing I like best about this study is that it was called How Ha-Ha Can Lead to Aha. But even if you're not producing educational experiences in their own right, there will be a learning curve to your apps. And so making it fun and easy for the user to get to grips with how things work, it will be good for engagement and retention. Slack, like it or not, makes learning Slack easy. It has great onboarding because it makes the process fun. And this is in part due to Slackbot, which is a chatbot and personal assistant within Slack. And the interesting thing about Slackbot to me in particular is that it's got this kind of sense of fun and informality of language. And I feel like Slackbot's behavior gives the user permission to be fun and informal too. So channels are generally quite conversational in tone, and you can easily respond with GIFs and emojis. It makes for better, quicker, and often clearer communication, which I think we can all agree is a good thing. So last example here. This is NanoSymbox, which is a digital chemistry platform for learners of all ages, where you can manipulate molecules and influence dynamic molecular behavior. So I worked with ISci to produce this game as a wrapper and to provide sort of context for the experience. So the aim is to discover greenhouse gases in the world, and in this scene, you wait for the cow to start filling with gas, and it gets bigger and bigger and it starts shaking like that, and then you tap them to relieve their symptoms, and it makes them either burp or fart. And then tapping the gas bubbles will take you into the NanoSymbox experience, which you can see the kids playing with there, and allows them to play with the fart particles, or farticles. So on that note, hopefully now you agree that fun is a good thing and something you want to incorporate into your apps. But how do you go about it? Well, I want to share 6 things with you that I might just give you some ideas for how your own projects can be made a little bit more fun. So thing 1, and I'm going to borrow the talents of Dr. Sheldon Cooper to help me illustrate this particular point.
It's good.
Really?
I like it. I think you're onto something.
You do? You're not messing with me.
But not at all. In fact, I have got something for just such an occasion. I was starting to think I might never get a chance to give it to you. Good job.
You're giving me a sticker.
It's not just a sticker. It's a sticker of a kitty saying me wow.
I'm not a preschooler.
Fine, I'll take it back.
I earned this. Back off.
Achievement systems, so stickers, awards, badges, ribbons, whatever it is, they're a great way to retain users and encourage the behaviors you want to see. And everybody likes stickers, regardless of what they say. So an app that uses achievement systems quite effectively is Fitbit. Now, people got excited about Fitbit, and it's hard to get people excited about fitness, and even harder to keep people excited about fitness. So let's say you have got a daily goal of 10,000 steps, and you've got an app, not Fitbit, something else, that just says 8,000 out of 10,000 today. What's the likelihood that you're going to go out of your way to make up that extra 2,000 steps? If you've got a holiday or a wedding coming up or an event, yeah, maybe. But if you're just walking for sort of daily fitness, probably not. Whereas if you've got a lovely dashboard full of beautiful dials and data viz, and you can see that you're so close to your goal, and you know that if you hit your goal, you're going to get a reward that day, and you know that reward is going to feed into a greater total reward, and you can share that with your peers, it just gives you that little bit more motivation to do that extra bit. And sort of in a similar vein, Duolingo is a language learning app. And not only has it a adorable mascot to cheer you on, but a whole host of reward mechanisms to keep you engaged. So both Fitbit and Duolingo use extrinsic motivation to keep you motivated. That is motivation that comes from a source outside of yourself. And until a behavior becomes habit, extrinsic motivation is the far more powerful motivator. So, and since both fitness and language learning have their keys to success in consistency, reward systems are a good means to keep your users coming back. So, same but different. Eco Pro mode on a BMW is essentially a game, okay? And you're awarded stars for smooth and economical driving. And it works because if this is up on your dash while you're driving and you can see that you're about to gain or lose a star, it genuinely does make you drive like less of a dick. So, speaking from experience. So there was one caveat to reward systems, and that is don't assume reward systems have intrinsic value in and of themselves. Google learned this the hard way in 2011 when they awarded badges for consuming news. Does anyone remember that? You were awarded badges just for consuming news. That was it. And it was a terrible disaster, and they took it down quietly. Rewards are only valuable when they actually represent an achievement. So, thing 2, notice where you can be playful. So making something fun doesn't always mean sort of bright colors and giving it a mascot character. There are some more subtle but equally lovely ways that you can imbue your designs with a sense of fun, and it's normally in the details. So loading bars are a good place to inject some fun, because especially since it's a time where your user could potentially sort of wander off. I think we're going to see it fill to 100 now. Whee! And something that reacts to the cursor or your hand is just so charming, and it's just always a hit with kids and adults. It's just super cute. I just want to show you what happens on this login form when you type your password incorrectly. It gets physically booted off. It's really cool. And here are some example UI elements that are both beautiful and playful at the same time. So there's just the tiniest bit of squish on that toggle, and it turns it into a completely different thing and just gives that sense of playfulness, like you want to interact with it. And this is just my favorite menu in the world. Does everyone have a favorite menu? This is mine. It is just so beautiful. It's so satisfying. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And then this is such an awesome refresh animation I wanted to show you. How cool is that? This whole screen is just yum. Pleases me. So really, the point I'm trying to make is it's about recognizing where you can inject a little bit of fun and that suits your experience. So, keep user testing simple, thing 3. The thing about user testing with kids is that kids get bored easily. They don't like filling in forms. Some of them can't even read. Whereas what you'll find is when you test with adults is they get bored easily. They don't like filling in forms. They won't even read. You know, there's actually not a lot of difference between these two groups. But when we test with kids, there's a couple of things we emphasize that I kind of think would be helpful if we emphasized it with people of all ages. And the first thing is thinking aloud. We have to do this with kids because often they can't verbalize or sort of articulate what they mean. But I think the corresponding sort of stream of consciousness you get from adults can sometimes be more helpful than the more considered or the written answers we sometimes ask for. And also, you've got to remember that the aim of your testing environment is to create a space where users can openly say, I don't get it. And you do that by making them feel comfortable. And I think this is something we place much more emphasis on when we're testing with groups of kids than with adults. And also, often with kids, you have to sort of tease out the truth from them. Because if you say, did you like it? They'll say, oh, I loved it. But if you then say, would you play it again? They'll say no, even though they loved it. So this is called flattery feedback. And it's easier to catch out the kids doing it, but the adults do it as well. So watch out for that. So the point is to engineer that safe environment that will yield you actually helpful answers. Thing 4, make stuff obvious. No, make it really obvious. However obvious you think that thing is, dial it up. So this is a handful of stuff I reckon it's important to make obvious, and what I think about when I'm designing for kids specifically that I think is actually quite handy to keep in mind for design generally. Make it explicitly clear which elements are interactive. So for kids, we wiggle things, we sparkle things, we bounce things, we glow things. For adults, we underline things and bold things and all this. Whatever it is, just make it obvious. If you have a call to action, make sure it's the most compelling and often the physically largest thing on the screen as well. So with kids, they get lost in navigation very easily. So we emphasize this. But actually, I found it just quite good practice in general. Don't rely on words. Like I said earlier, kids can't read, but adults won't, so don't waste too much time on paragraphs. But also thinking about things like buttons. If you can go with an icon, that's a great way of doing it, especially if your product is going to be localized, because some of those German words are long, and they are going to break your beautiful designs. So go with an icon. Feedback every time something happens. Kids get frustrated quicker than adults, but we all resort to mashing the screen in the end if it's not kind of feeding back to us. So every user has the natural desire for acknowledgement. So feedback and sort of micro-interactions can really help make things obvious. Don't make something look like what it's not. It may not be as disastrous as chugging a can of radiator coolant, but if it's not a button, don't make it look like a button, and I've been guilty of this more than once. Do this. This is what Trello does if you try to click that link instead of dragging it like it's asking you to. Like, it's so cool, it's so much fun. Specific and instructive feedback helps the users know what to do and also recover from mistakes in a much more sort of gentle way. Thing 5, be appropriate. So while I think there are many instances where a fun approach to your designs would be more beneficial than not, it is not appropriate for everything. So there's a handful of things that I would avoid. I would avoid shoehorning fun in. I would avoid being gimmicky, and I would avoid gamification for gamification's sake. So select the sort of methods that you like best and adapt them to your product and your audience. Don't mangle the rest of your app trying to squeeze fun in. And don't make a process take longer for the user because you put fun in the way. Do as Letterboxd do. So Letterboxd is a social media platform based on your taste in film. And they use film quotes for capture, which is lovely. It's fun and it's appropriate for that audience. And it fools bots because bots are uncultured. And Louis C.K. is a comedian, if you don't know him. And if you forget your password on his site, you'll receive some very on-brand abuse. Very on-brand abuse, and this continues into your inbox where your new auto-generated password starts with the word idiot. This is super appropriate for Louis C.K. fans and wildly inappropriate for Microsoft. So, you see what I'm saying? But both of these, the reason I want to show you these two examples in particular is they take what are normally very tedious processes for the user and make them almost enjoyable. And that is, that is a very powerful use of fun. So, thing 6, my last thing. Make the things you want people to do fun. So, presumably, you want people to engage with your products and feel happy doing so. So, if you're trying to encourage a behavior, make that way more fun than any of the alternatives. If you want people to contact you, make it compelling to do so. If you want dudes to pee in a urinal and not in the general vicinity of the bathroom, give them something to aim at. If you want people to push a button, tell them don't. So in 2009, the fun theory asked themselves, can we get more people to take the stairs over the escalator by making it fun to do? And this is what they did. So the thought I want to leave you with is to recognize that we don't grow out of fun. Fun is approachable and it's encouraging. So instead of asking yourself, how can I get people to do this? We should be asking ourselves, how do I create the conditions within which people will want to do this? And I think if we had a bit more fun designing our apps, the process would be that much more enjoyable both for us as designers and also the grown-up kids we design for. So thank you very much for your attention today. Here are my nats and ats if you wanted to get in touch, and I hope you had fun.